And we are live. Let me just share it on Discord. Boom, boom. And we'll just see who is up and about. What's happening? Oi. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Welcome to yet another live stream of consciousness. I'm gonna dump some of the thoughts and ideas I've had, cool things I've seen. Um, and we're also gonna go through the SOLARPUNK 2024 collaborative art project. And we're going to read through some stuff that I read through recently that I found was really interesting. And we're going to discuss how this year was and discuss what next year may be like, what interesting things the future may hold for the channel in terms of video topics. And also we could have a little bit of a Q&A too. We could discuss some of the ideas and questions and topics, and let me get some, like, some feedback on what your thoughts of this year's video is. How many of you recently discovered my channel just this year? That sort of thing. So really excited to see what everybody has to say. I'm gonna give it some more time for people to come in. How is everyone doing, by the way? Ah, good to see everybody here. Good to see everyone here. Let's see. How am I doing? I'm doing fantastic. I'm sitting on the floor right now. And I did, like, usually when I'm streaming, I have just my computer. I don't have a second monitor, and I really should, because it's very difficult to video edit and do all these different things with just one monitor. But for now, I don't have a second monitor. What I do have, though, is a TV. And it just occurred to me that I could connect my TV to my computer and, like, use the TV as a second monitor. So I'm gonna use that to kind of make the streaming process a little bit easier and a little bit smoother. And yeah, I'm just really excited to, have the conversation with everybody and cover all the things that I want to cover. I took some time to kind of prep out the stream, so it's a bit more structured than usual. But as usual, we'll have time in between to kind of just chat and shoot the breeze, you know? Yeah. Visualizing the end of capitalism from my cube farm, but besides that, I'm alright. Cube farm. When he said that, I was first thinking Minecraft, but then I realized he mean like a cubicle. Damn. Yeah. It's probably one of the most depressing bits of infrastructure in the capitalist workplace. Your videos play a part in converting me from marxism Leninism to anarchism. I'm really happy to hear that. If you don't mind sharing, like, what was it specifically that I spoke about that kind of spoke to you? I'll be really interested to hear that. I'm gonna give it some time for people to jump in a bit, because I know we want to get into the solarpunk art and do all the discussions and stuff, but I just want to make sure everybody gets in and stuff. So we're just kind of having a general chat right now. 60 people watching, though. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Make sure and leave a like and stuff on the stream, and we can get going. So, one of the first things I think we could probably start by discussing would be. Oh, hold on. I'm glad y'all are catching it. Yeah. Okay, found me through my collabs with Cool Media. Yeah, I'm actually, for those who don't know, I'm a co-host a guest host on It Could Happen Here, which is part of the Cool Zone Media ecosystem. And recently, well, earlier this year, I was kind of doing some episodes on like political cults. And recently, I've been doing a lot of episodes on Latin American anarchisms, which kind of brings me to the conversation, one of the topics of discussion that we're going to be having um, for this live stream. By the way, if you found the thumbnail particularly enticing, um, stay tuned because we're going to be seeing all the artists that contributed to the project. Discovered my channel last year through the youth liberation video. Yeah, I'm really glad because that was one of the first ones I did, one of the earliest ones I did, because it was a topic that was very near and dear to my heart. Um, have I dealt with cliques and breaking through the fear of new ideas to organize? Cliques, I've done, definitely. A lot of the social situations and networks and stuff, I feel like are just so cliquish. Um, and so that's kind of been hard to break through for sure. I don't really have a solution to that. But the fear of new ideas is not really something I have experienced. There are people who are set in their ways of like kind of the old system and the old way of doing things. Um, but I've also encountered people who are quite open to like, at least hearing my explanations for like my position and why I hold it. By the way, just as a side note, I didn't actually prepare a prize. Well, I'll give you a pretend prize for the first person to like make a comment about the I can't even say what it is. Like when that comment comes, that person will get the fake surprise. Okay. I don't want to hint too much as to what it is that I'm looking for. Do you ever explain how labor unions, co-ops, and environmental protective regulators can collaborate to achieve sustainability, especially in places that aren't always governed or rural areas? Also, someone recommended your channel to me. I already know of you, but it was at my job, and I was very pleasantly surprised. Oh, really? That's really nice to hear. I have to say, I know I'm at 206,000 subscribers right now, but it's always like a jump scare for me whenever I hear somebody like mention my channel in a place. Like the other day, I saw my channel mentioned in the comments of a video from another creator, and I was like, huh? Then you're just like casually like lying in your bed scrolling through comments, and then you just see your name. It's definitely something I still have to get used to. Um, and I recently met somebody in person who had like heard of my videos, and I was like, what? You know, and that's why, because I see my analytics, not too many Trinis in the viewership, proportionally at least. But to answer your question, Judah, regarding labor unions, co-ops, environmental protective regulators, that's not really my specialty. I would just imagine they would collaborate in ways that it would really just be a matter of ensuring that there are lines of communication between these groups, that there are regular discussions going on, and there's some overlap in terms of the memberships. Greetings from Mexico. Bienvenido. Uh, me, I don't know the Spanish word for channel. Okay, Ellis responded to the question about Marxism. I think it was the video Organizing Anarchy. Open my eyes to the rigid ways the Marxist left thinks about the world, how anarchism enables new and fluid modes of being. Yeah, I mean, honestly, and that kind of brings me to another thing I wanted to talk about. That's why we call it the live stream of consciousness, right? For me, this year was I've been on this channel for a good while now. I've been on this channel since 2020, and I've been learning about anarchism since before then, so like well over 5 years. And I feel like just this year, I'm starting to get like a grasp on anarchism. This year was really the year when I started, like, some things started to really click into place, that I feel like I have a better way of not only understanding anarchism, but also communicating anarchism. Kind of stripping it back to its basics and using those basic foundations to build upon in a way that makes sense. I mean, I'm still learning about the history, still learning about the theory, still have a lot to unpack. Part of it is I think I really need to. That was part of what happened this year is I'm sort of unpacking, like, the Marxization of anarchism. I'm not opposed to Marxism per se, but it's important to understand that they start from very different positions. You know, like the communism of Marxism, it's popularly assumed to be the same as the communism of anarchism, but it's in this year that I really started to understand like the differences and how that was the case in terms of how Marx views the general administration of things, and how anarchists have the anarchist focus on analysis on authority is something that's really lacking in the Marxist analysis, and it's something I think is really necessary to understand anarchism, is to understand that analysis of authority. Um, and also, I think I really wanted to sort of understand anarchism on its own terms. I think it's important that people do that. Marxism and Marxist explanations for things. Again, I'm not crapping on it, but those are like the dominant forms of argument and school of thought within like the online, political education space. But anarchism, unfortunately, is not as well understood that deeply. And so I kind of wanted to sort of sift through those Marxist assumptions and foundations. Let's kind of go back to the anarchist basics. And so that's really what I'm trying to work on. It's also what I'm trying to make sure that other people are able to do as well. So I try not to lean on Marxist analysis when I can, and focus on that sort of anarchist explanation for things. Um, because there are a lot of anarchists who still have a lot of those assumptions still in place. A lot of anarchists who really are not doing as much research on anarchism as they should, or are carrying on with very incomplete understandings of anarchism. And so I think part of my task now is to really sort of help others as I've tried to help myself in sort of understanding anarchism. And it's also part of like kind of a frustration for me, because to me it's like I spent all these years and I'm still learning. Still feel like a complete beginner, right? And it's just wild to me that there are some people who feel they could speak with such confidence about anarchism based off of a half-remembered skimming of The Conquest of Bread, or a few seconds of a Chomsky speech. And you all know I don't really like Chomsky, at least as an anarchist, or at least to be considered an anarchist figure. And just sort of that sort of bingo card of propaganda that tends to be put out about anarchism. So yeah, that is sort of my discussion. And so I'm really appreciating the fact that Ellis was able to, get that kind of understanding, based off of kind of going through that video. Because that video is, I think that was kind of the catalyst for a lot of what is to come. A lot of the video scripts that I've been doing, that I've been working on and stuff, it's kind of building upon that foundation now. Let's see what everybody else is saying. I don't want to miss too many comments. How old am I? That's a secret. My education, well, I just have a bachelor's in mass communication. Um, any thoughts on the Canadian postal strikes? I only heard about them like yesterday or the day before. I've kind of been so submerged in trying to get like this last project done before the end of the year. I'm trying to finish it so I can enjoy Christmas. So I unfortunately can't say that I've done too much research into it. Thoughts on Syria and Rojava right now? Um, I'm really happy to see that Assad has finally fallen, and this is another situation where I'm not too up to date on the political situation on the ground with Rojava currently. I actually haven't kept up with it in a while, so yeah, yeah. Let's see. That's evil. There's a secret, but I will give no hints as to what it is. I mean, it's not that much of a secret. All I will say, the only hint I will give is pay close attention to the screen. Anyway, um, Anarchist Reddit loves loves me. I mean, I do sometimes browse Anarchist Reddit. I try not to be on Reddit and Twitter and that sort of thing too much. But it happens sometimes. To me, Twitter in particular is like so restrictive on the ability to communicate, and so I mean all social media platforms, I really feel like I'm getting the sense they're like this. They're so restrictive and so transparently structured to generate as much conflict and engagement as possible. It really isn't something that, as an educator, or as a wanna-be educator or wanna-be advocate, it's not a space I feel like is very conducive to that. um yeah, yeah. Let's see what else the people are saying. any Trini YouTubers I'd recommend. Um, Badawi. Badawi. You should check out Badawi. Let me get on that. Pull him up for you all. Just one sec. But no, Badawi doesn't have a channel. But he has, right, he has a section on the channel. Eater food. So if you're trying to get like some good some good Trini recipes, some good like you'll need to go on this channel and check it out. Yeah, the festive rice you have. Ooh, you know, Christmas is coming, all right? And the Trini Christmas is the best. So if you're looking to get some Caribbean food culture on your plate, definitely go and check out this channel. Badawi is like one of the hosts, a good friend of mine personally, and you should definitely watch this stuff. Carrying on, let's see what else the people are requesting. And again, I'm really not trying to do too much of the um catching up with chat, but getting some really good questions here. Yeah, right. So even before my organized anarchy video, the concept, the thing about democracy was really something that I was already kind of iffy about as a way of explaining anarchism, but I wasn't confident enough in my ability to sort of explore anarchism without kind of leaning on that sort of language of democracy as like a comfort or as a reprieve. I knew democracy, it wasn't like supposed to be like majoritarian, like direct government kind of thing, but it was still something I was kind of iffy on and still working on trying to understand myself. And then things started falling into place. And yeah, I really think I understand the desire to use familiar language when communicating these ideas, but I think it's easy for us to get sort of quibbling about like branding and optics and that sort of thing that we forget that it's not necessarily people are against anarchism just because of the word, right? It's also the people, some people are generally like not down with the idea of like not having government, not having authority. And so until you address that part, you're just gonna have people that sort of end up repackaging mini governments under the label of anarchism because you got them to become an anarchist, but they still haven't fully, questioned that sort of stuff. Um, let's see what else is up. What do I think of Luigi's propaganda of the deed? No comment. When it comes to a form of eco-socialism, lots of socialist uprisings have tried to implement usually I recently learned tax don't pay for government spending. You're the only leftist channel I can't just listen to. The visual element is so happening with your videos. I just have to sit and watch. Really? Thank you. Thank you very, very, very much. I really appreciate that. And for those who have watched like my recent video, the civilization video, you'll see that it's something that I'm really trying to work on getting better at, the visual aspect. I was kind of neglecting it for some time. Um, few upgrades here and there, but it's really something. Hey, yo, okay, I just saw the comment. I just saw the comment. We'll get to just now. um, but yeah, so it is something that I'm really trying to get better at in terms of the visuals, in terms of, upgrading my Premiere Pro skills in a sense. So work in progress, and I'm really glad that visually it's been very inspiring. I think one of the creators who I've been watching a lot of, one of the only creators that I have to stop and watch the video in full for, um, not really a leftist channel, and though I wouldn't put myself consider myself a leftist channel, but this particular creator is not a leftist channel per se, but he's like that sort of educational YouTube sort of space. And seeing how he was doing visuals, like I can't do it the way he does. I just want to have the patience to kind of sift through and look for a needle in a haystack to get the kind of visuals he does, because he gets it from some obscure places. But it's this channel, Horses. Um, let me get it up for you. And he actually did a video on anarchism on his Patreon, but it's a Patreon exclusive, so um I haven't watched this particular video yet. But yeah, I haven't seen that video on anarchism, so I don't know what his position on it is. But he blew up over this year. Like a fellow YouTuber, kind of gave me the shout on this channel, and I basically watched all the videos. Um, and his visuals, what kind of inspired me to step up my game a little bit. Um, so if you all like the kind of visual creativity, definitely go and check out Horse. He doesn't really need my shout. I mean, come on, but give him a watch if you haven't already. And yeah, I'm also glad he stopped using it. I think, I mean, for me as well, I had a brief period when AI art first came out where I was like curious about it and kind of experimenting with it. But then I saw the arguments against it, and I was like, yeah, yeah, step away from it, that sort of thing. And that's just how it has to be, you know? Like the stream, y'all, it's free. That's right, that's right. Is the critique of hierarchies more recent in anarchism? I think using the word hierarchy is a bit more recent. I could be wrong. I'm no scholar. For that, you should check out like Sean Wilbur on Libertarian Labyrinth. He does a lot of translations of like really old anarchist texts, kind of the OG anarchist text. And you should also check out Zoe Baker, another scholar of anarchism. But as far as I'm aware, I think the thrust is more on authority, not hierarchy per se. The narrative sketches you do in some of your videos make things so much more real to me. Yeah, I'm really trying to work on doing some more of those, but I try not to force it. You know, like only if an idea kind of hits me, then I'll go ahead and do it. But otherwise, I try to stay away from doing too much, like unnecessarily. Like if I don't have the idea. Um, First video was my myth of barter. Yeah, yeah. I was surprised at how much that video blew up. Who knew that a glowing eye cow would hit that much? But yeah, anarchism has always been against hierarchy. That's right, Strudelus. It's just the word hierarchy. I recently read like what is considered the first manifesto of anarchism. That would be um let me get it up. It's called Anarchy, a Journal of Order. Let me pull that up. It's by Anselm Bellegarige. I think is how you pronounce it. Um, it's on the Anarchist Library, so you should definitely go and give it a read. It's quite compelling, and part of it was translated by Sean Wilbur of Libertarian Labyrinth, the second issue that is. And in it, I don't really recall seeing a mention of hierarchy. I see mentions of I remember seeing mentions of authority. Okay, there's one mention of hierarchy, and authority popping up a little bit more. Yeah, so authority was more commonly discussed. And really, when I see in like in same organized anarchy video, when I'm describing hierarchy, it's really like about the stratification of a society that gives some people authority over others. And then I go into define what authority is. So it really goes back to authority. There is indeed so much to learn, Maria. I agree. Yeah, I'm really against the great men sort of thing as well. True to less. Just learning about this now. I've been making art 20 years, so maybe next year. Can you speak a little about this art thing for us just tuning in? So yeah, we have a good amount of people in the chat right now. So after I just kind of wrap up a couple of these threads, we're gonna get into the actual solarpunk art. But it's something I've been doing since 2021, I think, is the first one I did. And then we had like so in 2022, I had like written pieces submitted, but then I didn't end up sharing those publicly because I wasn't sure of how to sort of, I suppose, share it. But I am gonna look for a way to get that done because I do want to put that work out as well. Following that, we had Solarpunk 2023, which was the first one with a theme, and that was bioregions. And then this year was another theme, New Dreams of Labor. Last year we got a lot more submissions than this year, and I got some feedback on why that might be from one of the artists in terms of how the theme is communicated and sort of the difficulty people have with visualizing certain things, and the need for a bit more creative direction, basically. So that's something I want to take in mind for the next year's zone, and I will drop the Discord links to both my Discord, the main one, and also the art specific Discord later on in the stream. So even if you don't come and see it, if you don't, even if you don't watch the entire thing, you can always come back to this. I usually have the stream up for a while, come back to it, and then later on, you come back to it later on. You could go into the live stream playlist to check it later on. I might have it in the description or in the chat or in the comments. So yeah, um, greetings from Brazil. Love Brazil. Mwah. Right, so this is the comment that I wanted to get to. Finding Arcadia said, "Did you update your model?" Ding, 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 ding. That is correct. So we're going into the new year with a new visual asset, sort of an updated anarchism experience. I was for the longest time now. I've wanted to update the views, or the visuals. Like I don't know who. Very few people must have noticed it, or but I always noticed it. Nobody ever commented it, but I always noticed it. My assets, sometimes when I would change like facial expressions, the thickness of the lines would be slightly off, and that always bothered me, right? And then the way like there was always like these kind of like marks on the drawing. It was kind of like from a rough Photoshop erase. Um, that I it was bothering me, and so I decided to finally update the visual, kind of give it a kind of a crisp, clean look, and yeah, I kind of like how I like how it looks now. You're the final kid. You are indeed the winner. I don't have a prize for you, but just know that you're a winner in my eyes. Do you talk to the Seriously Wrong Boys a lot? Any idea why they're not as big as other channels? I haven't really spoken to them too much outside of our collaborations. As for why they're not as big as other channels, I think generally speaking, podcasts kind of have a, especially podcasts that don't have much visual to go along with it, these days at least, don't tend to get as much traction as easily because you're talking about like 2 hour plus long episodes they're dropping sometimes, like sometimes as much as 3 hours, and it can be very hard to get into that. I think for some people, just because there's a lack of visuals or a lack of like two guys gonna sit in face to face on video. I think that's what allows some podcasts to do well, is that they do have the visual element too. And I just think podcast is a bit more of a niche medium in terms of some people like just they don't like to listen to podcasts, and some people really like listening to podcasts. So I don't want to analyze too much because they might have a different strategy they're going for, whatever. Do you think it's possible if anarchism? It's possible if anarchism trying to work within electoral systems alongside grassroots organization, would there be too much co-opted? No, anarchism is not really compatible with working within electoral systems, because at the root of anarchism is the rejection of authority, which is inherent in trying to pursue an electoral strategy. I don't know what kind of bird is calling in the background. It's been like it recently, like I moved into the tree near me, and so yeah, I don't know what kind of bird it is. It's like a black bird with like a yellow tail. Um, and there's also like parrots and stuff as well. So I don't know which one you're hearing. Process of making videos. Okay, I'm gonna end up like really just kind of catching up with comments for the rest of the stream if I don't stop. Um, but I just want to grab a couple more of these real quick. Okay, so process of making videos. I kind of covered this in kind of previous streams and discussions, but you know what? We'll have to get to it a little bit later. Yeah, I dropped the drop in AI before the theft arguments because it was shit. Yeah, yeah. Um, I agree. It's not the best visual either. Okay, and I'm gonna have to get back to like some of these comments. I wouldn't be able to get back to them because the scroll on YouTube chat is kind of difficult. But all right, let's just get into the visual. So I don't have a podcast by the way, Sutera. I just have a I guest host. It could happen here from time to time. So that is what's up there. Speaking of podcasts, how did I end up getting this slot on It Could Happen Here? Did they reach out to you or vice versa? Also, be down to for a guest spot on BTB or CPHGCS. I don't know what either of those are. BTB is Behind the Bastards, right? And CPHGCS is Cool People. Cool People H did cool stuff. I think it's Cool People who did cool stuff, no? In that case, I don't think the H is supposed to be there. But I would be down for a guest spot on there from time to time. You know, I kind of do cover the sort of things they cover in those podcasts anyway. But how I ended up getting this slot was that Robert Evans had a call on me to talk about solar punk, and then after that solar punk conversation, they extended the invitation to me. Organizing around single issues can still be compatible with anarchism, especially on a local level. That's true. It's possible. Okay, let me get to the arts. Let me get to the art. No more putting things off with the art. Let's jump into it. I just need to just get this visual up and close this off. And while we won't be able to see as much of the chat. I won't be able to respond to the chat quite yet, but here we go. Get your popcorn. Oh, I didn't get it on HD. Let me get it on HD. First up. All right. So how was that? Short but sweet. Only got 6 bits of art this time. As you can see, still one here. You could go on extra androism to watch the video anytime you want. I'll also probably drop the link in the chat as well. Let me get that up. How do I do that? So that was it for this year. That was it for this year. This was New Dreams of Labor. And the focus was on, you know, different sorts of art and different sorts of labor within solar punk art. So I just had a bit of a brain fart there. Do I draw slash paint? Yeah, I'm trying to get back into drawing. I used to draw a lot. But lately I've kind of just been like scrolling Pinterest and getting like pictures of models and then sketching their stuff. Trying to get better at it pretty much. Let's look at each piece individually. Let's take a look at what. Let's go in order actually, if possible. Okay, so this was the first piece that we had up, and this is. Give me a second to get it up. So this is the first piece, and this is City Planners. I've called it City Planners, and it's by Butter Quip, at Butter CUIPP on Instagram. And I'll just read the emails that people sent me accompanying these artworks. So this one depicts the artist's reimagining of the job city planner or urban redesigner and developer. I believe it is really, I'm quoting them, I believe that it is really important. It is a really important part in creating more sustainable and livable cities. Though right now many city planners create cities for cars or capitalism, but not for the people and the nature that live in them. So in the solarpunk future, the job should have a big emphasis on getting to know the interests of the community, analyzing the individual situation of the area, and figuring out fit-in solutions and then implementing them together with the people. I see that on full display with this piece, and I'm really appreciative of this work of art. I really, the artist did tell me that they weren't able to finish the sort of line work and details on it. So if they do get a chance to finish it, I would love to publish that updated and enhanced version. But even with this one, you could really see that sort of emphasis on collaboration, a kind of free flowing, natural conviviality within the space as people are sort of discussing how they're using the space of the city and how they want to see it develop even further. And that's just really, really beautiful to see. Let's see what's next on the lineup. Next, we have this. Hold on, no. Next is supposed to be this piece. And it's called Infrastructure Rewilders. And it's, well, I call it Infrastructure Rewilders by Bobby Aquina. And I'll quote their email as well. During the war, the highway was used as a minefield to keep military vehicles and ground squads from pushing through. This resulted in large craters spread all over the road. Years later, a group of close neighbors who got tired of seeing barren craters rode their bikes and back Fiats to the craters where they filled them up with native vegetation such as service berries, loblolly pine, black-eyed Susan, pawpaw, and other native flora of northeastern Turtle Island. So we're getting a bit more story with this one. We're getting a sort of a sense of this is a world with a history, particularly a history that has been scarred by war, and yet, despite being scarred, these people have still managed to, you know, find a way to live and continue and carry on. And not only that, to find ways to beautify their space, to sort of restore their surrounding environments in ways that are beneficial to the ecology and also to the society that they're part of. What I love about this art is that it doesn't reimagine the architecture like I've seen in many solarpunk fan arts, but instead works with what is already present. I agree. I agree. It's very beautiful to see. Um, it's really nice to see the solarpunk art that is more speculative, and it's also nice to see the solarpunk art that's very much grounded in what already exists and how we can transform it. And of course, we must, give love for that, cargo bike depiction. Kevlar Ninja, if you're looking for solarpunk art that shows boreal and other cool weather climates, you should check out Dustin Jacobus. I actually had an interview with him on the channel before in a previous live stream. It's in the live stream playlist as well. But he does art all over the world, like different settings, and he does include like that sort of snow capped environment as well. And now we can move on to the Repair Cafe. And the Repair Cafe is an absolutely brilliant piece by Samantha. No ads, no social media was shared for this one. But Samantha depicts, according to their email, an outdoor fall setting that imagines a community gathering place functioning as a center for leisure, refreshment, and constructive creativity. It's somewhat based on the John Campbell Folk School in the southern Appalachian Mountains, where Samantha lives in North Carolina, USA. Um, Firestorm Books, the anti-capitalist bookstore and coffee shop in nearby Asheville, North Carolina, and the many afternoons I spent as a child snapping peas on a shady porch with friends and multiple generations of family. I hope this is a useful submission. Well, Samantha, it most certainly is. Oh my gosh, the canvas, Sean Grenier is in the chat. Thank you for coming. onto the stream. Love your work. You should definitely go and check out Sean's channel. Yeah, so it's really, I really appreciate the use of color in this piece, the use of the shade and the use of the sun, the vibrant fall colors, the activity, the social ecology of it all, because you see this sort of inclusion of animals and people just sort of living together. Of course, these are domesticated animals, but still it's really nice to see. It's This space is accessible to those with wheelchairs, although there is a dog in the way. I would assume the dog would move. And it's very open and welcoming. And clearly it is well used. And I really appreciate this space. So thank you, Samantha. And yeah, you could see the Appalachian Mountains in the back as well. Yeah, you shout out to the people who are in Asheville. Let's see what else we have submitted. Next up is the Handcraft Library by Wandering Mio Mio. Now this one, it takes a close glance to recognize some of it, but I really appreciate the visual. You know, it's almost a bit of a guerrilla kind of disguised environment. The people are really definitely blended into their space and utilizing. This is very much a solar punk that is a bit on the dirty side, and I say that positively. You know, you see the galvanized roofing, you see just sort of patchwork of what already existed, and finding ways to use that so that, you know, there isn't any waste. And so I really appreciate that in Pondering Mio Mio's setting. And I'll read their description. Originally, I drew this because I wanted to challenge myself by incorporating 3 points perspective and to redeem myself by recreating the similar artwork I created several years ago with houses dangling between branches and everything. Of course, I didn't want to create the same thing, so I took inspiration from your videos on library economy to draw this. And I do get the library economy vibes in this. To be sure, my illustration features 2 shanty houses with building materials from various sources, from aluminum roofs, the side of a broken bus, old scaffolding for construction being patched together. I wanted the house to be as light as possible so that it can be assembled and disassembled at will, because the ease of doing that will help the residents respond quickly to unfortunate events like storms and typhoons. The main purpose of the house on the left is, and if I recall correctly, Wandering Mio Mio is from Southeast Asia. I can't remember where it was though. I believe they mentioned it either in the email or somewhere. But there might be, hence the mention of typhoons, right? The main purpose of the house on the left, considering the quote in the email, the main purpose of the house on the left is to display various electric parts and other handcrafting equipment so the surrounding community can borrow from as well as donate their own. Various products and artworks produced by the community members or not are also concentrated in this place so that everyone can browse and borrow. Basically, it's a small tool library that serves the community. The house on the right is a warehouse for everything that cannot be crammed into the first house. There are 2 people whose main jobs involve overseeing the library, organizing stuff into order, and keeping record of what's borrowed and lent. Most tech products featured in my illustration are relatively simple, and it's not just nostalgia bait. They're all created by various people who have access to a reliable source of electric parts that they can use to create for themselves. Obviously, they're not going to be sophisticated like those produced by corporations. I will give my justification for the need. By the way, this is a long email, but it's a really good email. So, continuing. I'll give my justification for the need of accessible technology for SOLARPUNK World. It'll be long and convoluted, but you're welcome to skip. We will not be skipping. To give this much effort into the email, I think it deserves, and into the artwork, I think it deserves just as much effort for me to read it all. So there are a lot of utopians who think that the future should be some iterations of automated luxury communism. In my opinion, in Mio Mio's opinion, it's exactly the obsession with technological advances that prioritize scale and convenience above all else that leads to gross exploitation of both the environment and humans on the global scale. The hunger for constant progress finds its very foundation in a capitalistic mindset. It's simply not radical to imagine a greenwashed cyberpunk world. I want to emphasize that my vision of solarpunk is not a world of sticks and stones, but it's important to ensure that technology should be open source, easy to grasp, easy to be repaired, and customized at will. It's my desire that the democratization of knowledge and technology, as well as relative ease of access to electric parts, will allow more people to create their own devices. Other purposes of supposedly low-tech devices include ensuring people who have knowledge monopoly to use them for malicious intention. Other purposes of supposedly low-tech devices include ensuring people who have knowledge monopoly to use them for malicious intention and mislead the communities, and minimize. I think they meant. I'm not sure they meant there. Maybe they meant that ensuring that people don't have a knowledge monopoly to use them for malicious intention and mislead the communities, and minimizing technological impacts on the environment. One point I have to admit is that the library I depicted here is not very welcoming for disabled people with its stairs, but it's not for lack of trying. Beautiful, beautiful. I think the stairs could have there's a particular, like, I know we're kind of shying away from much high-tech machinery here, but there's like a simple pulley system, I think, that could be used on stairs. I forget the name. But I really appreciate the sort of detail of this piece. The shade, the clearly a lot of intention. A lot of intention was put into this. And I really, really appreciate it. So thank you to Wandering Mew Mew. The next piece that we have to explore is the piece that ended up being the thumbnail for this live stream. Oh, also SOLARPUNK Alana is here. Hello. So yeah, this next piece is what ended up being the inspiration, well, rather, ended up being the thumbnail for this video. So let's check it out. This is Community Labor by Linz Thinks, linzthinks.bluesky.social. I wanted to depict labor as something written from their email, of course. I wanted to depict labor as something joyful, reciprocal, and fulfilling. The types of labor depicted can be technological, like the mesh network node being installed in the bike repair shop, or artistic, the woman weaving the pine needle basket, who is also teaching and engaging with children. I love the idea that the children are part of community labor, but as a form of play and socialization with people from different generations. The children in this scene have finished processing long leaf pine needles for basket making. In the background, someone has put up laundry, but is nowhere to be found, possibly because they are able to rest as it's drying, or work on other tasks. Beautiful. And this one is, honestly, Linz, I feel like you could make, I feel like you could make a children's book, and I mean that as the highest compliment, with just this sort of artwork, as an introduction for young people to solarpunk anarchy. You know, just giving people this sort of vision. These very friendly, very welcoming visuals. This is the kind of thing that I would expect to see in that kind of setting. This kind of thing that I almost like, I could also see it being animated. Like, you know, like a really old, like one of those, I don't know if it's like a Nick show. No, what's the name of that channel? It was Nickelodeon. No, Nick for Kids. But this is something like I would see, like, in an ideal world, this could be like a little animated series. You could have that like after Dora, Dora the Explorer, and you know, Go Diego Go. You have this show come on, and it's just like these two kids exploring like their solarpunk world and showing people different aspects of how it is. You know, like this is like, and that's what I love about solarpunk art. Its ability to not only stimulate further art, but also to inspire one's vision of a better world. Martha Speaks. Perky Prophet, you don't have to tell me to Google Martha Speaks. I am the Martha Speaks goat, all right? I'm the Martha Speaks OG. Martha didn't speak before me. Like, I am a Martha Speaks head. I am a Word Girl head. I'm a Arthur head. Like, put some respect on my name, please and thanks. But yeah, this art style is actually kind of does have that kind of Martha Speaks vibe as well, for sure. I definitely see what you're talking about. Love the wind turbine as well, yeah. Yeah, I'm tapped in. I'm tapped in. All right, let's. Yeah. Um. Let's see what else is up, and then we have the final piece. Oh, I just want to say I love the little guy in the background. He's kind of working in the corner there. I can imagine that after the children, I mean, their attention span may not be as short from like the kind of media they're exposed to these days, but children do kind of have short attention spans. So I'd imagine like after they spend some time working with this grandmotherly figure, they might end up going inside to the bike repair shop and checking out what the other guy is doing, or maybe handed the guy who's working on the roof handed him some tools, this sort of thing that children like to be involved in these sorts of things, and so it's really nice to see that depicted. It's not too often you see solarpunk art depicting children this front and center, and it's nice to see. Also, yeah, where's the safety harness? Also, like boy, yeah, we PBS was actually kind of on and off in Trinidad. There were years of my childhood where it like disappeared from the TV, at least from the cable provider that we had. But then there was also time we had gotten it. Like there was one point in time where we had PBS coming from Rocky Mountain. I think that's the name of the area, Rocky Mountain or something. So, but yeah, we used to get PBS, and I once I got hooked onto my Wildcrats and my Arthur and stuff. Like even after PBS left, we still found ways to watch it. If you know, you know. Let's see what else is up. Yeah, and you'd be surprised what children love to help with. Some children love to help just simply carrying something or holding something for you. It can be that simple. But let's get into the next and final piece of this Solarpunk art collaboration, and that is the piece by the one and only Lemon Art. And I believe I saw, sorry, Lemon Art. And I believe I saw Lemon Art in the chat before. I'm not sure if they're still here, but if they are, please give a shout. Lemon Art, I actually want to work with some of these artists. And Lemon Art is one of them who I want to work with because not only like in terms of thumbnails, and I'd be willing to pay, of course, making thumbnails and sort of depicting. Like I work with Sean Bodley as well, and we're doing some fantastic work on an upcoming episode, an upcoming video in terms of the thumbnail. But I would like to work with more than one artist. Hey, Lemonade is here. Hello, hello. Right, so I'm gonna email you at some point, and email a couple others as well at some point. And I say at some point because it might be anywhere between like the next couple months. But this sort of visual is the kind of thing that I need to see more of. The detail, really want to make sure and see the diversity and the variety, the vibrance, the depth. This is just brilliant. This is just brilliant. I'll read your email real quick. Let's see. Mine features a maker slash hacker space where people get together to make or repair things for themselves and for others, as well as teach those who want to learn. By the way, Lemonot actually made a piece for last year's Solarpunk art project as well. Let me pull it up real quick if I can find it. Yes, there we go. So Lemonot made this. Right, Lemonot made this piece last year. It's featuring a temperate grassland Ukrainian sort of setting. It's kind of before and after of the war. And obviously very, very, very beautiful and very inspiring. But this piece, I mean, let's get into some of the details, right? I have to open it up on my own screen so I could zoom in properly and give it a good description. By the way, if you want to see any of these pieces closer up, first of all, Lemonot has their stuff on Wikimedia Commons. So you can literally go and get like Creative Commons Solarpunk art. Just type in the Lemonot on Wikimedia. And the other artists also you can find, as well as Lemonot, on my Tumblr. I believe it's andrew-ism.tumblr.com. and you can find all these artworks. I have it. I posted it actually earlier today. But let me zoom into Lemonard's piece so we can get into some of the details. We have a lady sewing. We have a guy putting together a prosthetic, and he clearly has like some proteges paying attention and hearing out his explanations. You know, youth man taking notes. This seems to be like the makerspace seems very much built with ease of use and openness of use in mind. You know, you have somebody who's just like comfortably leaning up the bike against the table, getting some work done. You know, you're fixing a bike on one side of the table, you're sewing and stitching on another side of the table. You have a guy carrying in parts. You have some people just chilling in the corner. Somebody's just sitting on the couch, relaxing and having a conversation with their friend, and their friend seems to be working on something off screen. And just imagine that, you know, like you may not be wanting to work right now or be a part of the labor that's taking place, but you still want to be in that kind of environment where you know you can socialize and you can talk with people and you could kind of just recharge, take breaks, be a part of what's going on, even if you're not necessarily working at the point in time. It's not always about maximum efficiency, grind all the time. So it's really there's something subtly beautiful about just that woman just kind of sitting there, chatting with her friend, handing them a wrench, you know. Next we have the guy with the free the free shrugs vest, who also has a prosthetic, and I'm not sure what they're holding, so maybe Lemonade could tell me. We have all the boxes sorted and labeled in the backdrop, as well as some plants growing by the windowsill. We have what looks to be, and this is a really cool detail, you may not be able to see it on YouTube, but you could always go and check out the visual later on. What looks to be tram lines outside the window. Tram lines on an otherwise walkable street, walkable paved street. And additionally, in that background, really far off into the corner, you see a little girl almost like reaching out to like pick some fruit from a tree. You know, you have these accessible and free to use fruit trees in the park. You also have somebody seems to be painting their prosthetic in one corner there. It's also quite in there. And you also have the tools and stuff clearly set up. Now, this is a really clean maker slash hacker space. I know those things tend to get messy from time to time. Clearly, these people have cultivated a practice that allows them to work together with probably different cleanliness levels, but also sort of maintain the use of the space because, you know, they have a shared interest in maintaining it and ensuring that it's organized in a way that other people can access after them. So that's really fantastic to see. Okay. Just a tube of materials for whatever purpose. All right, that makes sense in terms of the tube the person is holding. Yeah, the person outside is like picking out like a fruit. Yeah, so this is really fantastic. So thank you to Lemonort as well for this piece, and thank you to all the other artists. This was obviously like the most detailed piece out of all of them. Of course, the other pieces were also quite detailed, but this one really takes the cake in terms of the amount of different elements within it. So, yeah, I'm really grateful for it. We want to say thank you to the Lemonauts, to Linz, Thinks, to Wandering Meo Meo, to Samantha, to Bobby Aquino, and to Butterquip for taking part in this. And I hope that more and more of you take part next year, when hopefully I have a better sense of creative direction and have a better way of communicating the prompt so that more people feel motivated and inspired to take part. And I already have an idea for another, how you call it? I already have an idea for another theme, and I'll actually just bounce it off on y'all because you know y'all are really special. Y'all are here, y'all are taking part in the live. Like I had to give you a little something extra, right? So the theme that I have in mind for next year, for the artists in here who could be thinking about it all now, is the university of Mother Nature. And on this theme, I want people to be looking at education in a solarpunk setting. You don't have to take it literally. It doesn't have to be people literally studying the soil or people literally studying the plants or animals around them. It could be that, hey, the classroom, the building itself is made from vernacular and sustainable materials, right? Or it could be that people are hosting class outdoors. Or it could be that, a bunch of kids are like going on a field trip. It could be any number of things. It could be adults. Of course, it should be adults as well, taking part in education. We want to have a really dynamic look at how education, in all of its forms, it could be a music class underneath a willow tree. It could be a surfing class out by the ocean. It could be like a first aid class. It could be a cooking class using like various solarpunk, cooking methods. It could be anything, just anything that could be that involves education, musical, spatial, a dance class under the stars. Whatever your mind could think of in terms of study and education, latch on to that and explore that. And that's what I'm really hoping that next year we really have a great turnout, because I want to see all the different ways that all the different directions this can go. And I'll be working with one of the people in the Discord, sort of having a better sense of communicating this idea. So I'm going to drop the link to the artist's Discord server in the chat. And once I've done that, we should be good to go. Cool, yeah. How it's education happening in solarpunk social reality. I kind of discuss education in an earlier video, and we're gonna get to that because I'm gonna be kind of talking about how this year went in terms of topics and sort of some ideas for what's happening next on the channel. So let me just drop the Discord link. This is the Discord link for the art collab. Bruh. Right, this is the Discord link for the art collab. Hey, Fireball's here. Fireball, for those who don't know, is another Trini. I'm assuming you had some issues with traffic, Fireball, considering the usual Trini Christmas situation on the roads these days. For some reason the link is not copying. Let me try again. Okay, now I can post it. How much longer will I be going for? Good question. I don't know. Maybe another hour, maybe less. When did I start? Let me check. So right now it's saying, OBS is saying I've been doing it for an hour. So maybe another hour, slightly less. Depends. Shugonas is going to be really bad with the traffic, Fireball. I completely, not me and that, no? Not me and that. Right, let me get into what comes next. So that's the solarpunk art segment, pretty much covered. And let's get into what is happening with the channel. Boom, bap, bow. Boom, bap, bow. Hold on. Trying to work on like this whole two-screen phenomenon. It's a bit of juggling, but I'll get the hang of it. Okay, let's go. So this is my YouTube channel, for those who don't know. Hi. So this year we ended up covering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. A video a month. And that's kind of what I'm able to sustain currently. And I hope that it shows in terms of the quality. You'll notice the videos have been, previously they weren't as long. I don't think I had as many crossing 20 as I do now. Most of them are around the 20 something to 30 something mark these days. But that's because I'm just trying to get into more detail and stuff. But let's just do a little bit of review. Scale of 1 to 10, we could talk about each video. My estimation at least, and y'all could also drop what your rankings are of the videos for this year. Starting with the Should We Be Luddites video, otherwise known as the Tools for Conviviality video. That one, I'm gonna give that. You'll notice, I really enjoyed making that one. I really enjoyed making all of them. So what is the criteria that I'm gonna base this off of? Least to most favorite. Let me not do a number ranking. Let me just, or rather not. Let me not give it like 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars. Maybe I should. What should I do? Okay, let me just go top to bottom. I think that's the best way for me to do it. To me, the best video that I did this year is this one. How Anarchy Works. This one took a lot out of me to put it together. And it paid off in terms of viewership, which I'm really grateful for. And yeah, it's something that is probably one of the most important videos on my channel that I've ever done. And so I'm really glad that it came together. I'm glad I was able to work with Sean Bartley for the thumbnail. I'm sure it wouldn't be doing as well if not for that brilliant thumbnail. And I'm really happy with it. Coming in second place is a bit more difficult. I think I'm going to put the problem with, it could be recency bias, but I think I'm going to put the problem with civilization in second place. Just in terms of the visual upgrade, I think it makes a huge difference, and it's like, it really sets the tone for what comes next with the channel. And so I'm really grateful for really glad for how it came together. It's not performing as well as I expected it to, but that's all right. I'm just glad that I was able to put that together and that it's looking really fantastic. And I'm sort of it's sort of an evolution of my approach to writing. You know, I always have to have my videos driven by a thesis, but I think this is one of the ones where I really did a decent job with how I structured my argument. And the visuals were also, I think, really compelling. Number three, so this is a top three, right? Number three for me is gonna have to be. Thing is, I haven't watched a lot of these since I put them out, so the memory of them is not there. But Why States Fail Humanity, I think is number three, boy. Let's put. I want to put Why States Fail Humanity at number three. So top three, we have How Anarchy Works, we have The Problem of Civilization, and we have Why States Fail Humanity. I think that's a good top three. And then we'll do the bottom three after that. Moving on, I think the bottom three are gonna have to be. To me, they're all pretty good, and I'm. It's because I know how much work went into them. Honestly, I think I can't do a bottom three. I can't do a bottom three. It's too difficult. But that's my top three. In terms of other special awards that I could give each video, I would say the We Need to Be More Tech Critical video is a sleeper classic. I don't know if it's the packaging or just the topic, the subject matter, but I think it's that sort of critical approach. I did it a bit more in the tech side of things this year. I did the Tools for Conviviality, I did Data Colonialism, and I did the Why We Need to Be More Tech Critical. And they weren't the best performing videos. Like, I'm guessing my channel is not, or my audience is not too much on the tech side of things, or in the critical approach technology side of things, but it is still something that I was really passionate about exploring. So that's kind of why we don't do the whole AdSense and sponsorship thing, right? We are forever grateful for the patrons, which you can join Patreon and support my work if you want. The link is in the live stream description. But if not for my patrons, I wouldn't be able to sort of pursue these passion projects that may not do as well as some of the hits. But I really like how the tech critical video came together. Data colonialism is okay. I think data colonialism might have been one of the shakier ones of this year, just in terms of, I suppose, its memorability. As the person who wrote it, even I think I'm having trouble with remembering it and what it was about it that worked and that kind of drove the video. Um, the mutuality. This was kind of this was almost a throwaway video, right? Uh, featuring art by the Lemon Art, by the way. This was more of a throwaway video, but I wanted to find a way to encapsulate the different understandings of mutuality that I was starting to develop. It's a sort of direct-to-TV sequel to How Anarchy Works. The direct-to-TV, because it's not as long, it's not as well-produced, I would think, it's not as intricate or detailed. But I still think it's important to kind of break down, okay, mutual aid, mutual responsibility, mutual defense, that sort of thing. And that's what this sort of video is getting at. Are we living in non-places? That one is one of the videos where I just stumbled upon the subject and I decided, let me play around with it. That one I'm glad with how it came out, and it did surprisingly well. One of the better performing ones this year. But it's definitely a bit unlike the rest of my videos in terms of the subject matter, because the whole non-places thing is kind of a very specifically sociological, urban sort of analysis sort of thing. And I have done that before, like my Solarpunk Cities video, but it's not my usual focus. We Need to Rethink School was a long time coming for those who have been here from the very beginning, which is probably almost none of you. This is the first video essay I did. This is the crux. This is what started the whole channel. The education system is broken. Don't go and watch it. The audio is crunchy. The visuals are not very compelling. The script is a bit weak. But it would lay the foundation for everything else that was to come. So I'm really glad that I made it. The story of that particular video is that I was blogging for a really long time on medium.com, and I realized that blogging is not going to reach people the way that I need to be reaching people. And so I had written this as a blog post on the education system, and I just decided to make that switch and turn it into a video, and I really don't regret it. And so this is 4 years ago. It's going to be 5 years ago next year. And if not for that video, what would we do? Right? And so, but the thing about that video is it definitely needed an update. You know, years later, I have a more expanded and developed understanding of everything, I would like to think. So it was a necessary update. We need to rethink school. How globalization fails us. This is a subject, I believe, what had inspired this video, eh? It was, okay, so it's actually, oddly enough, connected to this video, I An Ethical Tourist, because I was reading this book, this kind of tourism handbook in the library, and it was like a collection of short writings by various authors. And reading those is kind of what inspired this Are You an Ethical Tourist video as in terms of subject matter. Because for those who don't know, Trinidad is not a very tourism-focused country, so it's not something that I think about often. I have been a tourist more than I have seen tourists in Trinidad. Tobago, the other part of Trinidad and Tobago, definitely a bit more tourist side of things, but yeah. So it wasn't at the forefront of my mind to make a video on. But I eventually did. Are You an Ethical Tourist? The thumbnail, by the way, I took that picture myself. Not that I was there. I took the picture in the sense that I didn't find this image online. This is the image I ended up settling on, and of course it got clicks because, you know, people are people, and I think this is the sort of thing people find compelling. That's another thing. The whole thumbnail game. You'll notice I've been kind of playing around with thumbnails a lot lately. Blame FD for that. But yeah, so that particular picture, it was actually my friend had a copy, had an old copy of National Geographic. And that National Geographic magazine had like a section on the Bahamas, hence that picture. And you might have seen that picture before on Foreign Man and a Foreign Lands thumbnail at one point in time that he did on tourism. And that's because I sent that picture to him. So yeah, that's the kind of story behind that. But anyway, there were some things left out of this video from the readings I'd done for this video that ended up building towards this video on how globalization fails us. So I find that's pretty interesting. Let's see what else is up. Let me see what's going on in the chat actually. Why do you think the audience isn't as tech critical? I don't know. I mean, I think people who watch the video will open to it, but I just think we're so surrounded by technology that it's almost like, uh, like it almost feels like an attack on the ego in a sense. That's how connected we feel to our technology sometimes. It's kind of hard to, because, people might see that and think, oh, I'm going to be bashing tech. Oh, Andreism's a primitivist. No, like, no, it's not that. And I think people who actually watched the video could see that it wasn't about that. But it it's not something that it's something you have to actually sit down and watch to get a sense of. And I think just the initial impression of it, the assumptions people might make about the argument might lend itself to like a low performance. Not necessarily people are not going to be open to it once they hear the arguments. And yeah, it's possible people really aren't ready to hear how bad tech can be. Have I ever considered giving my head avatar a little stick body? No, I really think, first of all, I'm not good at drawing bodies. I'm working on that. But also, I just feel like that would be another dimension of animation that I would have to add to it. And that would be another sort of. I think he looks best as just a floating head. I'll leave it at that. Have I heard of Bucky Fuller? No, I haven't. Well, yeah, regarding screen time on whether or not you should have 13 plus hours screen time a day, I've gotten mine down to actually I can't really count that because it's just that's phone screen time. I don't have any data on my computer screen time, so I can't really see. But at least on my phone, I've gotten it down to between 5 to 6 hours. Some days when I'm particularly working a lot, it's down to like 3 or 4. But I actually saw a suggestion recently about like putting your phone on grayscale, and that can help in terms of decreasing that sort of urge to be stimulated by it. Yeah, I think Anarch has some good organizing advice. Yeah, old National Geographic issues. It was a different world, and I wasn't around to see the vast majority of it. So it's nice to see those different perspectives, those earlier perspectives. It's kind of where my love of history comes from. Outside of like short sprints of travel, um, I have not spent much time outside of Trinidad, no. My accent, I get that a lot of people say that my accent sounds Welsh. I don't hear it personally. It's possible that, and I've heard other Trinis have experienced that as well, where they were told their accent sounded Welsh or whatever. Obviously, there are multiple accents in Trinidad, as there are multiple accents in every part of the world. I think the accent that you hear on my channel and in the stream is one that is to an extent I speak like this in general, right? And to another extent, it's a matter of enunciating and communicating for an international audience, I would end up having to speak in a way that allows me to be easily understood. That doesn't mean that I hold back on my Trinisms, the aspects of dialect, but I do have a narration voice and then a regular casual speaking voice. And this live stream voice is a kind of in between my narration voice and my, casual speaking voice. So kind of find that balance. And personally, I don't hear the Welsh, but a lot of people do apparently. That's the thing that I'm just gonna have to see comments about for the rest of my life. But I get some like on that topic actually. I do get the occasional disses on my accent or on my decision to use British spelling from time to time, which is just like, ugh. I've had a comments where they had said that like, they couldn't even like stand to listen. And I mean that's the kind of thing you just have to deal with, kind of shake it off and go along with. But to me, I don't really like somebody said they had difficulty understanding what I was saying. And to me, I speak a fairly clear English. Like even other Trinis would say that I speak more standard English than like Trini English, even in my casual conversation. So uh, I don't know where that person's coming from in particular, but there's no there's no biggie. Grew up in Wales and sound quite Welsh. Okay, okay. I haven't been to Wales. I haven't. I've never even been to the UK. So yeah. Yeah, Rico. I actually used O Launcher as my home screen very briefly, but I didn't like it. I like having my wallpaper and all these different stylistic stuff that I end up just uninstalling it. Yes, Welsh colonists could be responsible for the way that the Trini English accent sounds. Yeah, it's kind of like how the Jamaican accent is heavily influenced by that kind of Irish sound. How do I say Z? Z. I don't say Z. Okay, so we're getting like a lot of I'm getting a lot of Welsh, a lot of no, he doesn't sound Welsh. Rural Welsh, that's interesting. I don't think I've even heard what rural Welsh sounds like. So, yes. Okay, let me just continue with the kind of covering the videos. So, psychology of political cults, I love this one personally. I thought it was really fun to put together, and I was really gassing it up. Um, Honestly, it's one that was kind of built off of the research that I'd already done for a podcast episode. And in that same podcast, I did subsequent episodes. It could happen here now. I did some subsequent episodes on like more specific political cults, like um Marlene Dixon's cult, or you have like the Japanese United Workers Party, I think it was called, or United Red Army, or so they all have these different acronyms, but one of those, and they had like a whole political cult, and there was like torturing people and stuff. But this was kind of like a general overview and kind of a warning to kind of be careful. And there was a particular thumbnail I had for this one that I ended up not going with because I felt like it would attract too much of the wrong crowd in the comments and stuff. So I shied away from it. But this one I really like the thumbnail that I did come up with the political compass balls and the depiction of Midsummer. I thought it was really, really creative. Um, and honestly, I have a lot of fun making thumbnails. It's one of my. Sometimes it's very stressful when I don't have an idea for it, but when an idea comes, it's like boom, boom, you know? Yeah. Let's see what else is up. We need a new culture. I for a long time coming. This one. the civilization video was also a long time coming. Like, I mean, I had the idea for making a civilization video and my personal position on civilization since like since the start of the channel, pretty much. That was like on the OG list of video ideas. Some of those video ideas I still haven't gotten to, but yeah, this is one of the big ones, and this is another one of the big ones. Like, I wanted to talk about culture, and so I had a lot of fun just kind of like looking around for material to kind of base the video on, because I had the idea for the video before I had the research material for it, and yeah, I say and yeah a lot. I just realized. I think that about covers the videos for this year. So I don't have the word count to explain this idea fully, but what are your opinions of a moral gang within anarchism, like a group that's willing to perform criminal acts to protect their community? Within anarchism? Criminal acts? Okay, well, I mean, it's possible that this is because you're limited by your word count, and it's something you could probably kind of have a discussion on potentially in my Discord server, with the fellow server folks, but I'm a bit unclear about this proposal because you're saying within anarchism, and then you're also saying criminal acts. But one of the whole ideas of anarchy is this concept of a lack of legal order, right? You have an anarchic order, you don't have a legal order. So you don't have the idea of things that are crimes and things that are not crimes, things that are licit and things that are illicit, things that are legal and things that are illegal. Everything just is. Nobody has like a right to do anything to anybody else. It's just like a matter of, there's no prohibition and no permission. So it's people's actions and people's responses to that actions and so on and so forth. So I'm a bit unclear in the whole moral gang thing, but you could probably build on that at another point. Oh, someone mentioned PSL. Yeah. I didn't want to bring them up, honestly. I didn't want to invite because that's a fairly active group online, and I just wasn't. I'm not very into conflict, online conflict. That is unproductive online conflict to be specific. So I don't really seek out debates with people who I know like we are starting from different foundations and have fundamental disagreements. If we are starting from the same foundation, but then we have different interpretations or perspectives or extrapolations, and yeah, but that's coming from a position of having the same goals. As an anarchist, I've accepted that I'm going to hold the minority position for a while, and so it's debating and getting into loggerheads with people who are ideologically committed to their specific flavor and perspective doesn't make sense to me, because it's like that's one online club that has their perspective, but there are millions upon millions upon millions upon millions more people who don't really have those kind of strong stances. So why would I waste my time and breath and, you know, finger muscles typing to like try and convince somebody who is already committed to this one very specific idea and already has these very committed prejudices against my ideas, when I could speak to the person who doesn't have any exposure to any of these ideas, let alone my own, and kind of build upon like their wants, their needs, and how like I believe that my ideas could help them. A bit off topic, I thought of doing a video on mutual aid from an accounting perspective. No, I actually did have an idea of doing a video on social revolution, kind of in a satirical business manner, like doing a kind of a business of revolution and kind of treating revolution like a like a business startup. But that would be an April Fool's video. I don't know. Silver's quite scary, not gonna lie. I have been getting that. I'm not active on it. I really don't have the time. But I know there have been some complaints about how intense the discussions can get and that sort of thing. And I really want to encourage people who are in the server and people who are actively involved in the server and people who are in the server and not actively involved, you know, temper the hostility. Let's keep things amicable. Let's try and keep things as productive and conducive to like respectful conversation as possible. And I know it gets difficult when you get into the nuances of like sometimes you do have genuinely bad actors involved, and sometimes they're uncalled for dog piles, all these different things, and it's not something that I can be actively involved in helping to shape because again I don't have the time, but I do trust that people are able to work out solutions, and I hope the solution isn't like silver warfare. I hope the solution is an amicable conclusion and resolution of disagreements. But that's an ideal world. Opinion on President Sunday. Outside of our collab, I really haven't seen much of his stuff. I don't follow what he does anymore. So I don't know what is happening on his end of things. I'm more meaning in a modern society that's moving toward anarchism. I have to get back to you on this like topic because I need some time to think about it. But I think it would be similar to affinity groups, yeah. But I don't want to try and build too much on it yet without taking the time to think. And unfortunately, a live stream is not necessarily conducive to that kind of detailed conversation. To answer the question, Erland, PSL is a cult, a political cult, but the others are gonna have more details on it for sure. Yeah, yeah. There are a lot of people. There are a lot of intentional bad actors on internet spaces. Honestly, most of the people you read in like online, most like okay, maybe not most of the people, but I just want to remind folks that sometimes people are not real. As in, literally, they are not actual people. They're bots or they're trolls pretending to be somebody that they're not. Right? They're people whose whole game is just like putting out as much bait as possible. People whose whole MO is just stirring up as much conflict and division as possible. So you gotta know it doesn't even make sense to engage with this comment, to engage with this person, to engage in this conversation. It's just gonna be a waste of my time. Because a lot of people like you, it's gonna be a lopsided kind of investment because you might be invested and genuinely passionate about something, and then the other person is literally just there to like rile you up and troll you. So you how to use your discernment, right? A lot of comments I get, I just scroll past the comment because it don't make sense to even respond, right? It don't make sense to get into back and forth. I don't get in back and forth in comments in general. The most I'll get is like the most I do is like respond once, but I don't get notifications for comments or replies to comments. So unless I check back again, I'm not gonna see the response to my response on so I don't do back and forth. It's not healthy, right? But like save that energy for and this that the energy for discourse on people who are actually materially impactful to your life. You know, like save that energy for people in your like co-workers and family members and friends and neighbors. Save that energy, build up your ideas, work on your ideas so that you can communicate them effectively to people who are not in this hyper engaged political online space. And focus on that. Don't focus on people who spun the wheel or did some political compass test and decided, yeah, I'm a national Bolshevik with Trump communist characteristics or whatever it is. Don't waste your time. It is genuinely a waste of time to talk to those kinds of people. Talk to people who are actually meaningful and real to your life. People you can directly touch, people who you have like a personal relationship with, right? Don't waste your time on internet strangers when roll the dice, they could very easily be a bot, a troll, or some other machination. Literal AI, you know? They're literally AI bots that are being flooded on all these platforms to create as much division as possible. Push through it, push past it. Don't get tired. The Disco for Solarpunk discussion, by the way, SPS Blue, that'll just be like there's a channel on the regular anarchism Discord where you could talk about Solarpunk specifically. And I'm gonna drop the links to the anarchism Discord at the end of the stream. So yeah. No, the thing that's going in and out to my audio when I'm not speaking, that's not bird song. That would be a frog. Frogs, plural rather, outside. Okay. I hope it's not too troublesome. That's why I try to stream into the night because you can't do anything that involves recording audio at night in Trinidad and Tobago because there are always going to be frogs outside and crickets, and they're always going to be making a certain noise, and you're always going to hear it in the background. Levy Kenway, to answer your question, trying to be able to say any organization for young persons to get involved in, there are a couple different groups, small groups, but I'm not going to get into specifics on here because that's a little too close to home. If you are from Trinidad and you're genuinely curious, you can reach out to me via email. Okay, dead internet. Yep, 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 yep. Would you recommend your viewers make videos about anarchism education as well, or is there too much potential for well-meaning misinformation? When you say anarchism education videos, do you mean videos that educate about anarchism, or do you mean videos about anarchist education systems and practices? If it's the former, I do encourage people to share the ideas, yes, but I think it's also important to make sure that you understand the idea yourself. Of course, there are limits to that. Like, I'm literally still understanding the idea, and I've been doing it for 5 years now. But trying to get a good grasp on like what it is you believe and why it is that you believe it before you try and communicate with others. When you have that kind of ego and confidence in your beliefs, and you're not ashamed to say that you're an anarchist, not ashamed to say that you believe in pursuing anarchy as a political ideal, and kind of getting into the details of what that means, the critique of authority, the strive for a world in which many worlds fit, a strive for a world in which people can freely associate and organize themselves and come up with solutions and coordinate their activity without having to stratify the world between superiors and subordinates. Try and get a good grasp on that. Try and get a good grasp on. I'm not saying you have to like read a whole ton of theory, but you really should be reading theory if you're going to be a public facing communicator. And there are some essentials. Like I feel like okay, I wouldn't say essentials. I don't know if anything's necessarily essential, but I am really glad that for a long time I was an anarchist and I just put off reading Proudhon. And I'm really glad that I've started to because there's a lot in there we tend to discard because, oh, that's 19th century stuff. Like, who cares? You know, we're in the 21st century. Just, no, a lot of that stuff is really relevant. The first manifesto of anarchism by Anselm Bellegarrigue, which I spoke about earlier, that was Anarchy, a journal of order. That one is like surprisingly contemporary in a lot of its arguments, and you'd be surprised the kind of things you might find compelling. But I do agree that there is a need to update the material and to make things accessible because, you know, Proudhon is hard to read. You know, it's very hard to get into things like what is property. I think Malatesta is really accessible. I really appreciate it at the cafe. But it is difficult, and I understand that it will be difficult for people to get into that stuff. And I do want to make, that's why I make my videos, to kind of condense that information and make it more accessible. But I do encourage people to do their own reading and come to their own conclusions and develop their own perspective and philosophy. And obviously, for some of you may know that I'm working on a book, well, multiple books. And so we're getting that sort of work in progress. Othelia's 100% right. John Boyce, I don't know who Raul Zibechi is. Sorry. Oh, is that what? Levy, can we? I'm getting the sense that you are from Trinidad. In that case, I think you should reach out to me privately so we could have that kind of conversation. Yeah, like I said, I haven't seen any of this person's stuff since our collaboration, so I'm not in tune with what they're doing now. Okay, yeah, because that's the thing. Having people summarize a book for you is kind of like having ChatGPT summarize a book for you. It's gonna get things wrong. It might get things wrong, or they might have takeaways that you wouldn't have taken away from it. There are different ways that certain things can be read. It's I think it's best for you to read it yourself. You know, your takeaway from At the Cafe might be different from my takeaway from At the Cafe. Your takeaway from Anarchy Works might be different from my takeaway from Anarchy Works. Um, and so just I think, and this is gonna kind of get into a topic that I'm gonna have a video about next year, hopefully, if I get around to it next year. And that's about this concept of leadership in anarchy, right? There are a lot of things that I want to explore with regards to that I've kind of been collecting, like little notes and tidbits I've been collecting on this topic for some time now. Ever since my video on how nonviolence protects the state, which was kind of building off of, or really just sort of communicating Peter Gelluse's work on the same subject. I did have like a brief mention of anarchism in leadership and leadership in that video, but obviously that video was so long ago and my perspective has built upon and shifted so much since then that I want to revisit the topic of leadership specifically for a video. And I actually think I have a really bang thumbnail for it as well. Um, and part of that I think is this idea of reading books yourself, because that's one of the topics I kind of want to touch on. Because on the one hand, it's something I think it's important that you read the stuff yourself and you get a sense of it yourself, and you don't rely too much on other people's readings of things to develop your own worldview. At the same time, I think one interpretation of leadership in anarchism would be a leadership in terms of just a sort of a basic division of labor in the sense of educational labor. So you have one person who would be considered a quote unquote leader, and this is this we get into the quibbling about words, right? Because you could say leader, you could say expert, but somebody who's, for example, has a focus on marine biology. Like not everybody necessarily has to drill into marine biology. um, it would be nice if the person who specializes in marine biology can share their information with others and make the information more accessible to others so others have a tenuous grasp on it. But yeah, you also you want to make sure people have like a good broad education that's relying on other people's packaging and understanding of things, but at the same time you're gonna have to do that because we are still mutually interdependent and we still have limited time in our days to be reading books and doing all these different things. Like I'm reading like a whole bunch of books simultaneously right now, and sometimes I wish I could clone myself and have somebody have my clone read it for me and then like reabsorb themselves into me. Okay, has Sen said, I think new anarchists, especially white anarchists, can get funneled into white anarchism, which doesn't deviate from 19th century canon. I've heard that argument, and I to an extent I understand it. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I'm not exposed to many white people in general. You don't tend to interact with too many when you live in Trinidad. Um, but so I'm could be your experience with white anarchists, but to be honest, from what I've seen, people anarchists of all stripes have hmm, There are those that are very much committed to that quote unquote canon and don't want to deviate from it. But then there are also those who dismiss that canon as something that is just, oh, 19th century white anarchist canon, like ignore it kind of thing. And that to me is pretty detrimental to the development of the idea, because despite there being a lot of it being a quote unquote European tradition, in many ways the anarchism that developed in opposition to the European institutions of the time. It is in many ways an anti European philosophy. You know, like the church, the state, these are European structures that the anarchists rose up to oppose and developed arguments against. And can I think we can miss those arguments. Another thing is that the assumption is the 19th century anarchist canon is a bunch of white guys, but the reality is from Brazil to Argentina to Peru to Chile, like across Latin America, we have folks in Egypt and South Africa. We have folks in Korea, and those stuff are now being translated. Like there's a lot of stuff from the 19th and 20th centuries that might be dismissed as old canon, but in reality, it's just as vibrant and potent. And those people from those backgrounds were still drawing on and in dialogue with those people, those anarchists in Europe. So I understand the inclination against, the sort of rigid white anarchist canon sort of thought process, but at the same time, I do see sometimes that people swing into the opposite extreme where they just kind of want to discard those past ideas when in many cases those past ideas are quite useful, and by dismissing those ideas we could end up basically trying to reinvent the wheel unnecessarily. Oh Lord Father. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have done that to the mic. Oh, my throat. Y'all gonna lose me in a little bit. Thoughts on mutualism slash anarchism without adjectives. That has been like the thrust, anarchism without adjectives, and the sort of neo-Proudhonian school of mutualism has been kind of the thrust of my um expansion of my understanding of anarchism. So I'm really appreciating it and loving it. I'm loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba. Hmm. Okay. Getting a lot of questions and stuff, but let me just try and grab. Um, I have heard of Buckminster Fuller. Um, what is this in reference to? Let me see what else people are saying. Adios, Eli. Enjoy your dinner. Yeah, I actually have Ian McKay's Proudhon reader, and I have not cracked it open yet because it's a lot thicker than I thought it would be when I bought it. But I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. But yeah, Proudhon, he does have these digressions, and he's kind of like you have to read things on the side as you're reading his stuff. Okay. The clone idea, reading and learning, not the knowledge experience. Coming back to you, ranting this manga Akumetsu. I don't usually read manga. I tend to watch the adaptations of the manga when it comes out, because that's just like more stuff to read and top of all the other stuff I have to read and top of all the other stuff I have to do. But looks interesting. Ooh, Akumetsu tells the story of a high school student with superpowers that offs corrupted politicians in Japan. This sounds really interesting. Thank you for the recommendation. My brother is more of a manga reader than I am, so I'll ask him about it as well. Yeah, where you could contact me privately. So I have my email on my channel itself, saint.whom, WHOM, at gmail.com. So you can reach out there, identify yourself, and we can go from there. Because that's actually something that I want to get on in terms of connecting with the trainees who are in my audience, who are motivated to do something, so we can have those conversations and get stuff started. Because to be quite honest with you, I really have difficulty getting uh buy-in from people sometimes, like to get work done. So there are stretches of time when I really haven't done much organizing, and part of that's just because just getting the people to like work with me to have that kind of effort being put in. That's something that actually burnt me out of organizing for a really long time, was that I wasn't getting people to, like, I was doing pretty much all the work, So that is something that I got a bit burnt by, but it's something that I'm moving past because the work needs to be done for sure. And I'm slowly finding people that I can do good work with. And I really have some ideas for the upcoming year. And also ways that I'm planning on doing more outreach in terms of building more of a local audience on another platform, so I could get more people to have these discussions and have more people to do this kind of work. But work in progress. We'll talk about it. Let me see what else is in the chat. Okay, so there were some things that I wanted to touch on, that I wanted to read as well. But I'll just wrap it up here because we don't have time to get into it. We'll get into it another time, next month maybe, if I have time to do a stream next month. This is supposed to be the last one for the year. So thank you to all of those who supported this year, who were able to make all this possible, help me hit 200,000 subscribers. Um, we're part of the stream, we're part of the art collaboration, and I'm really, really appreciative that all of this continues to be possible. And it's thanks to the viewership, and it's thanks especially to the patrons on patreon.com. So the last thing that I want to touch on, originally we were going to get into this. I'll just showcase what it was. Um, this is something, it's from the Cambridge Encyclopedia of Hunters and Gatherers. This is something that ends up going into a video that I'm currently editing. So for those of you who have watched this stream, you may see down the line the relevance of this. I think it's going to be a really fun video as well. So I don't want to spoil it. I was supposed to discuss this as well, this article. We ended up watching this video, so that's good. Words of a Rebel, I wanted to talk about this in connection with this article by Margaret Kiltroy and Kismet Misunderstanders. I made some highlights and stuff. Like, I actually prepared for this stream some things I wanted to talk about, but we'll do that another time. We have much to discuss. So, for those who don't want to wait that long, read this article. I could give you all some homework, right? Read this article, read this book, Words of a Rebel. It's fairly short. You could read this article as well. You could read, I wouldn't say read this entire encyclopedia, but you could look it up. It's all freely accessible online, everything that I have up here. So that's what's up. Also coming up soon, I finally made contact with Ashanti Alston. So just a heads up, we are gonna have a stream together. So prepare, don't drop any questions or anything from now, but I'm just saying prepare your questions, prepare like your topics, prepare everything. Ashanti Alston's gonna come on the stream next year. Right? Ashanti Alston, the new African anarchist, the former Black Panther himself. We're gonna have a discussion about black anarchism, about well, black struggle across the world. We're gonna be talking about whatever you guys are curious about. So be hyped for that, okay? It's gonna be a late Christmas gift. And he's a really, 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 really cool guy. So it's gonna be a blessing to have him on. Another thing that's coming up in the next year, just as a shout, we have. Let me pull that up real quick. Just in the next year, let me find it real quick. Let me find it real quick. Right. In terms of upcoming videos, look out for a video on fashion and fashion industry. That was a really fun video to put together. Has some interesting visuals as well. Look out for that video, the library economy video, the sequel video, the updated and expanded edition video. That video is supposed to be coming next month. Fingers crossed. It's already completely ready. It's just waiting on Sean Bodley's art just to kind of complete it. He had some things come up that delayed it, which is completely fine. But hopefully it comes in, the art comes in soon, and then we can have the video up. And I think you're gonna love that library economy video. It kind of fuses together the original library economy video with the commons video that I did, the video on the commons, but it also builds on top of the library economy concept in some ways that I find really exciting. And so I can't wait to get the feedback on that one. Other videos that are gonna come up, expect to see a video explaining social revolution in corporate terms. Expect to see a video on, let's just say, on development. We can expect to see. I'm really. There's another one I've put off for some time, but I'm really hoping to get this video on debt done. Building upon and making accessible Graeber's work on debt. The first 5,000 years. We might get a chance to talk about some more solarpunk solutions. We haven't done a solarpunk solutions video since last year. We didn't get any this year, but maybe next year could be a solarpunk solutions video. The leadership and anarchy video might be coming soon as well. And sometimes I just get an idea that ends up skipping the line from all the other ideas. So, you know, some of these videos I have mentioned should be coming out next year. And if they don't, it's because another video idea kind of skipped the line and came ahead of it. But the point is, lots to look forward to. We have the next SOLARPUNK art collaboration, theme being University of Mother Nature. We have all those videos. We have the live stream with Ashanti Alston. We have a face reveal coming up. Okay, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna do a face reveal. But lots of other things to look forward to for the year. So please, be excited. And thank you all for the support on the video and on the stream. Thanks for joining me tonight, this evening, this morning, whatever time it is by you. All power to all the people. Peace.